And we're live. Can someone on the highest level of a GLP-1 medication still struggle or even gain weight? Well, the answer to that is yes, absolutely yes. And today, I'm going to talk to you um, about not only how that can happen, but also why this new Wegovy 7.2 high dose milligram 7.2 milligram high dose might actually be the upgrade that many of us have been waiting for, especially if you feel like your current dose isn't working for you anymore, or if you feel like the food noise has returned, then this might be an episode you want to really lean into. Hello, bold, brave, and brilliant ladies and gents. Good evening, good evening, good evening. Um, I wanted to talk to you about this because I have been kind of unplugged for a number of months, and just this past Thursday evening, I did a live on YouTube, and someone from the community told me that there was a higher dose. Because I was like, I wish there was something stronger for me because I'm having a hard time um, with the food noise. And they said there is, I believe there is a 7.2 dose that just came out, that just hit the market. So I want to start by thanking you for tuning in to Zepbound Journey with Ange. If you're new to my channel, welcome. Welcome. It's so nice to have you here. Here we talk about all things GLP-1 medications like Zepbound, Ozempic, Wegovy, Saxenda, and Mounjaro. And you probably know by now, with all of the talk and conversation about these medications, that Ozempic and Wegovy and Saxenda are all made by Novo Nordisk. And Ozempic and Wegovy really are the same drug, but used for different purposes. One is for type 2 diabetics. The other one is for obesity medication and weight management. I'm Angela Durant. My friends call me Ange, and you can too. I've struggled with my weight since I was like 7 years old, right? Almost all of my life. I was a chubby kid, an overweight teen, and obese adult. At my highest weight, I topped the scales at 332 pounds. I kind of became a hermit. I didn't go out very much. I didn't do very much as far as being social. I'm only 5'2.5", so 332 pounds is quite a lot for my frame. And before discovering Zepbound, I had two bariatric surgeries. In 2009, I had the lap band, which, by all measures, for the first 5 years, I was very successful on the lap band. I had it done by an amazing doctor who was at the time at Temple University, and he did not recommend the lap band for me. He thought that because I had so much weight to lose, that the lap band was not really the best option for me. He really thought that I should have gastric bypass surgery. But at the time, I was so afraid of gastric bypass surgery. Okay, having some technical difficulties, but we're back. So he didn't really think that it was a good option for me to have the lap band. However, I went forward with the lap band, and to my surprise, to his surprise, it worked very well for the first 5 years. And I went from being 332 pounds to I lost 157 pounds on the lap band. So much so, I lost so much weight on the lap band that they would have me come in at Temple University along with a gastric bypass patient and talk to prospective patients about the success you could have on either. So it worked really well for me until it didn't work anymore, right? Eventually, I had slippage. They eventually took all of the saline out of the band and said that, we can't fill it up anymore. And then slowly but surely, I started gaining weight. So it started in 2009. And then by 2019, I had, gained like all of the weight back and maybe then some. and I decided to go for the gastric bypass surgery, which I had the gastric bypass surgery, but I did not lose as much weight on that. I used to say to myself, did I really have surgery? Because I feel nothing, right? And so, which led me to just a couple years ago, my doctor put me on my very first weight loss medication, and that my first GLP-1 medication, and that was Ozempic. And I was on Ozempic for a short period of time. I checked in with the doctor. She asked me to come in. She weighed me and she said, how are you feeling? I was like, fine. I feel like I'm taking nothing. And she said, well, you're down 19 pounds. I was like, how'd that happen? What happened? I felt nothing. I didn't even believe in the medication, but it was working, right? And then the laws change. I'm not a type 2 diabetic. The laws change, and I had to come off of Ozempic and get, at the time, there was a shortage. I was on the wait list for Wegovy, couldn't get it, eventually kept gaining weight. Eventually, my doctor and we decided to go on Zepbound. So I was on Zepbound for about a year and a half. And recently, my insurance changed, and I had to come off of Zepbound, and then I had to go on to taking Wegovy. Okay, so I just want to bring you forward. So if you're someone who struggled with your weight, if you're considering weight loss medication, or if you're already on a Zepbound or Wegovy, Saxenda, Mounjaro, or Ozempic, and you've plateaued, or your food noise is starting to come back, you're really going to want to lean into this episode. You're in the right place, because for those who have been following me for a while, you already know, right? You already know the struggles, right? But for those of you who are new, welcome. And I want you to be sure to subscribe if you're new here, or if you're an old G and you haven't subscribed yet. Please subscribe. It helps other people find our channel. And I do go live quite a bit. When I'm active, I do go live quite a bit, and that will notify you. All right. So today I want to talk about something real, right? Something exciting, something that I wasn't really on my radar until this past Thursday, when Melissa from our community said, "Oh yeah, there's a 7.2 milligram of Wegovy coming out by Novo Nordisk." And I'm like, "Say what? What is this?" So she's in our community, so shout out to Melissa. And when I found out about this, so let me just say, so recently I was forced by my insurance companies to switch from Zepbound to Wegovy. And I was really disappointed because I knew the stats. I knew that Zepbound will help you lose more weight than Wegovy based on just the science, right? So I was disappointed. I was like, I need the strongest dose that I can get because I feel like I'm a severe case, right? And I was already on the highest dose of Zepbound at 15 milligrams. And so to find out about Wegovy, so right now I'm on the highest dose of Wegovy. I just started it, 2.4 milligrams. Wegovy did not perform so far. It doesn't seem to be performing as well, but I can't really say that just yet because I've only done a week. I'm going to take my next dose tomorrow, right? And then I'll keep you posted on how that's going. But I don't think Wegovy 2.4 is as powerful as Zepbound 15 milligrams, right? The science says so, right? But let me say this. I have friends in the community who have never needed to go to 2.4 of Wegovy, right? Or 15 of Zepbound. They're at like the lowest dose or the second level, and they're like, oh my gosh, it's so strong. I have to spread out the doses, or I had to titrate down, right? I had to get a lower dose because it's just too much for me. Like it's taking away all desire. I can't even eat. I'm losing weight too fast, too much weight too fast, right? Right? I hate those people. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. But there are people like that who are like, this is really a really powerful drug. I talked to somebody who works for Novo Nordisk, used to live in my building, and he said he had to pause it because he needed to, it was really working very well for him. And there are many people out there who are these super responders to the medication. That is not me. I think I'm a regular, ordinary responder to the medication. Right. So some started losing weight too fast. Some stopped taking it altogether, and or spread out their doses because they were losing so fast. And then there were other people who had side effects like depression, right, that they were experiencing, so they stopped taking the medication. None of that has been my experience. I've been able to tolerate these GLP-1 medications pretty well. Um, but here's why this conversation just changed. This conversation just changed because Wegovy now has released a 7.2 milligram dose that they're calling 7.2 HD, right? A higher dose. And this is important. And the reason why it's important is because this higher dose is designed for people who have already tolerated the 2.4 milligrams. They're saying they want you to be on the 2.4 milligrams for at least 4 weeks. So if you've done a month and you're still not losing the weight you want to lose, talk to your doctor about titrating up to the 7.2, right? Um, because the 7.2 is for people who can tolerate it, but are still not losing the weight they want to lose yet. They're not getting the results that they want, right? And the results on this new 7.2 milligrams of Wegovy is now competing with Zepbound, right? It's slightly under it. So before you could lose like 15%, they're saying, or more of your weight, whereas Zepbound was like 21% or more. Now with the 7.2, they're saying around 20% of your body weight, which is very close to what Zepbound is doing. And they're also saying that 1 in 3 people are losing 25% or more of their body weight, right? So that, I mean, that's really impactful. So now we're starting to see Wegovy move into this territory that's much closer to what Zepbound is doing in terms of the results. And I think that was the biggest issue for many of us who were forced to go on Wegovy. We didn't want to do it because we felt like, Zepbound was a stronger medication for those of us who really needed it, right? And here's something else that most people don't realize. Before this new release to the 7.2 milligrams, people were taking multiple injections with, and I don't know what they're doing outside. I'm talking about people, what doctors were prescribing for people to do. And that was, they were taking 3 shots of the 2.4 milligram. I am not recommending anybody take that. However, I will tell you, after our call on Thursday, and the person mentioned the 7.2, I started doing research on it, and I was like, wait a minute, what is this? So you're saying I could take, 3 of those shots? Would that be safe? Would it, like, tell me more, tell me more. But they were taking three in one sitting, one at one time, like you would take your weekly. So they were taking 1 shot in the arm, 1 in the belly, and 1 in the leg, all in the thigh, all in the same, at the same time, right? That was at 7.2 milligrams. There was not a pen for 7.2 milligrams then. There is now, right? There wasn't one. But can you imagine what that expense would have been? That if you had to buy 3 pens each week, what that could have looked like? And what if the insurance says, no, I'm only covering 1 pen, you have to cover the other 2? I think that would have been a nightmare for many of us. So it's nice to know that they have it in 1 pen. Now, I don't know what the investment is going to look like for the 7.2 milligrams, but hopefully your insurance, if your insurance is covering it now, your insurance will still cover it. And if not, that it won't be cost prohibitive for many of us. Okay. And that matters because who could afford, to do out of pocket for that, right? Nobody wants to pay more for the medication because we need it, right? So now I want to talk about both sides, because while this is exciting news, I think it's very exciting news for us, right? It's still the same class of medications, which means that you could still experience side effects, right? So let's talk about that, right? The same side effects that you could experience with Wegovy or Zepbound before are the same now. They're mentioning that they're pretty much on par, like not that it's going to be drastically different, but they did say the skin irritation that some of us have felt in the past might be stronger, right? That skin irritation might be stronger. So if you're like in the past, like I would feel like weird sensations or itchy bumps. So I'm somebody who did have that side effect. So that could happen and it could intensify. So I want you to be mindful of that. If there's somebody on, because we're on live, if there's somebody on who is on the 7.2, can you let me know? Let me know if you are already on it. If you're already taking 7.2, I want to hear from you. I want to know what your experience is. So we're talking side effects. So I want to tell you the good, bad, and ugly, right? So the good is that now we have something that's competitive with Zepbound at the highest level, right? It's a triple dose, really. That's what it is, and they're saying that it's safe. So we'll see. But the side effects, the same: nausea, vomiting, digestive issues, right? Risk of risk like your gallbladder problems or pancreatitis. And this dose, it's not for beginners, right? So nobody's coming in at 7.2, right? It's for people who can already tolerate the highest doses of this medication, right? Okay, so and tolerating the medication again is not something that I've ever had an issue with. So, and I know a lot of you are pretty good. You might take something for constipation or nausea, but for the most part you can tolerate it. And some of you have had those issues in the beginning, but they've subsided. So, for me, to be perfectly honest with you, this gave me something that I didn't expect, and that is it gave me hope. It gave me hope that, the medication can again take away the food noise. For me, it was never an issue of satiety. It was never an issue of the feeling of fullness, because I could feel full and still eat. I could still go to the fridge and get something to eat, even though I'm physically not hungry. It's the what it does to the brain is where I need the help. It's where I need most of the support, right? Because again, I can feel, full, and I can feel the difference, the switch, right? I could tell the difference between being on Zepbound and being on Wegovy. I could tell the difference between that. I don't know if you guys could tell if you've been on both. And so I started to wonder when I first started with Wegovy, am I going backwards? Because the weight was still creeping up, right? But now it feels like, we may actually be moving forward again with this option, with this new option. Of course, we have to talk to your doctors. I am not a doctor. So please talk to your doctors to see if it's right for you. Um, and so with all that said, I really want to make sure that I ground this conversation in reality, because whether you're on Zepbound or Wegovy or considering either of them, there are things that I wish that I knew before I started, right? One, one that people don't talk about that much, and this is for the newbies, because for those of you who are in the crew, are part of the community, you already know, right? You're seasoned, you already know. But for the newbies, like, hair loss could happen, right? And as women, we love our hair, right? And it's not really talked about enough, I don't think. Mental health matters, right? Like, there have been reports of depression and emotional changes. So that's something that you really want to be in touch with, see, that how you're feeling. Vision changes can occur, especially with blood sugar levels. Heart rate changes are possible. You hear about rapid heartbeats, and sometimes that subsides, but you want to pay attention to that. Dehydration can lead to kidney issues, so we got to be conscious of that. I have my water right here today. I'm drinking my water. Gallbladder problems can develop with rapid weight loss. And I actually had a friend who had just started on GLP-1 medication, and she had to have her gallbladder removed. And that was pretty scary, right? I don't know that that's that common, but there's something that can happen, right? So the side effects can be, unexpected and sometimes intense, things like the itchy skin, constipation, etc. Um, Also know that if you stop taking the medication, you can regain the weight. Like Oprah said, she was very transparent about this. She said that she had been taking the medication and it was doing great, and she took a year off. So she weaned herself off, took it off, stopped taking it for a year. And then I think she said she gained about 20 pounds back. The weight started creeping back on. She talks about the set point, like your body wanting to be at a certain set point. And so she decided to go back on the medication, and then she started losing the weight again. So that is pretty frustrating to think about that, but that is something that can happen. So it's something you need to be aware of. It is easier to take than you think. The needle, to me, the needle is not a big issue. To me, the Zepbound pen is easier, and I feel less of anything. I don't feel anything with the Zepbound pen than with the Wegovy one. With the Wegovy one, I feel a little sting. Feels like a little bee sting with the Wegovy one. And sometimes I have to check to see if it actually took, because there's no little prick on the skin that's obvious. Usually with Zepbound, there's like a little prick where you bleed a teeny bit. With the Wegovy pen, I don't at all. Like there, when I wipe it with a cotton ball and alcohol, there's nothing. But the needles are not a big deal for those of you who fear the needles. And now they have the pill. And I'd like to know, because we are live, who in the audience, if there's anybody in the audience who is taking the pill now, and how that's working out for you, taking a daily dose of Wegovy. So let me know about that. Let's see if there's anything else. Now, it can improve conditions like sleep apnea and your heart health. So that's important to understand. And one of the biggest surprises for me, what the medication did that I did not expect it to do, that I talk about all the time, is what it does to my brain, right? That it quiets the food noise. Right. I don't even think we had a term for it before we started this GLP-1 journey, but everybody knows what it is, right? It's that calling, that always thinking about food, thinking about where you're going to have for breakfast, lunch, or dinner. That goes away for me, when the medication is working at its best for me, when I feel like it is full force working. I don't think about food. I don't crave it. I have full control over what I eat, and that feels amazing. And I miss that feeling, and I'm hoping to get it back again. So this gives me hope. Okay, now let's see. I want to, at this point, I think it would be good to I hope this is helpful. I hope that having this conversation is really helpful. It was news to me. I found out from my community because I hadn't really been plugged in. And so I was like, wow, that's great. That's great news. And if you ask me if I would go on this journey again, even with the highs and lows of it, absolutely yes. And I'm wishing and everybody in our community so much success. But I want to pause there because there's a lot of comments in the chat. So I would like to see if there's somebody in here who wants to share. Let's see. Yes, a huge difference between the two medications. Okay, so I'm assuming that you are on both. You've tried both of them. Had a really great day. Okay, happy Easter, happy Resurrection Sunday for those of you who celebrate. Let's see. Let me just look at your messages here really quickly. Let's see. Hello to everyone. Wegovy 2.4 might be the Zepbound 7.5 or 10 at best. Interesting. That's interesting, Jen. I would probably agree with you. That is probably very true. And where the 7.2 is like the 15, right? That is very true and interesting. Fantastic. Can't wait for Retatrutide. Yeah. And are you on Zepbound right now? Let me know if you're on Zepbound right now. So this is a real thing. And for those of you who, because I was really ticked off when there was a deal with my, like I felt like there was like this back office deal with my healthcare company and Novo Nordisk, where Novo Nordisk was like, I'll give you a special deal for all of your patients. But we got to block out Zepbound. Eli Lilly, who makes Zepbound, we got to block them out. Don't even let that be available, right? Right. And they were like, effective immediately, you are no longer able to be on Zepbound. You have to go to Wegovy. I was like, I don't have a choice. Like, don't I have a choice in the matter? And the answer was no. So, and I was like, even though we know that this medication is more powerful than this one over here, you're going to make me go take the other one. And I have all this weight to lose. So I was not happy about it, but I took it anyway because I didn't want to pay out of pocket. Again, I originally started paying out of pocket. I was paying $500 a month. And it could have been more. I was using the coupon, so it could have been more. But still, I didn't want to pay that, that amount out of pocket. Let me know if there's anybody in here that's on 7.2 milligrams of Wegovy, or if you're taking the pill. I'm very curious to know about that, about the pill, how it's working. Is it just as effective? If you are, let me know. Let me know. Okay. Thanks for popping on this Sunday. On this Sunday, thanks for popping on. Um, I want to leave you with something. I want to leave you with something before we go, because I won't keep you long tonight. But I want to leave you with something that, and this is something that I say to myself. Like, I've started to encourage myself daily. I think I mentioned on my last one. If you haven't seen the Thursday live, go check it out. Start to encourage myself because I was feeling like a failure at this, right? And this is something I say, and I hope that it encourages you too. You are fearfully and wonderfully made. You are valuable beyond measure. You don't have to be perfect or do this journey perfectly, right? You don't have to rush. This is not a competition. So I have to focus. I have to look like this because I look to the right and I look to the left. I see Jen. I see Sweet Tea. I see all the people in our community. I'm like, they're doing so great, right? But I have to remind myself that comparison is the thief of joy, and be grateful for where I am and the journey that I'm on, right? So we don't have to do this perfectly. We don't have to rush. It's not a competition. If you fall down, get back up, Ange. If you fall down, get back up, right? And so this is what I say to myself, and I'm sharing it with you. You just have to keep going. I think Sweet Tea said that on Thursday night. She's like, just keep going. It's okay. Just keep going. Even if it's slow, just keep going, right? On your terms and in your timeline. What I'm learning is that this journey isn't just about weight loss. It isn't just about weight loss. It's about discovering the best and the healthiest version of yourself. It's about discovering the best and healthiest version of yourself. And if you're frustrated or you're scared, right, that's understandable. Because on the other side of fear and frustration, there's more energy, there's more confidence, and there's more joy. And there's more of you. So I hope that encourages you. It has been encouraging me each day. And I want you to, as always, I want you to go out there. I want you to remember that you made a bold decision to put your health first, to use something on the market that is helpful in harnessing and arresting this disease. I want you to be bold with that. I want you to be brave and have courage to do what you need to do to advocate for yourself and your own health. And I want you to be absolutely brilliant because you are. You are. So thanks for tuning in. Hello to all of the wonderful people in the community. I love you guys. Have an amazing week, and I'll see you soon. Take care, and bye for now. Bye, guys.